It's your voice, your vote. The balance of power in Congress is still up in the air tonight.
Right now, Republicans need 2 seats in the Senate and 7 in the House to gain control. With all eyes on the results, we're tackling 2 key questions tonight. How did voter turnout impact congressional races in Hampton Roads? And what happens to State Senator Jen Keegan's seat in Richmond now that she's heading to D.C.?
Our team is bringing you answers. We start with Dan Kennedy on election turnout.
Virginians made their voices heard this election. 49% of eligible voters cast a ballot according to preliminary numbers and according to the Virginia Public Access Project, which put this chart together. Going back 40 years, that's a record for a midterm like this, with only U.S. House elections on the ballot. You see those years in green. Historically, turnout is much higher. We see much higher numbers when there's also a U.S. senator on the ballot. You see those numbers in orange. And typically, we see turnout then over 50%. And Virginians really come to the polls every 4 years for presidential elections. We found that turnout averages about 75% of registered voters. But back to this week. The Virginia Public Access Project also breaks down the numbers by district. And we found that the 1st Congressional District had the best turnout with 58% of registered voters. That's where Republican incumbent Rob Whitman won. The Luria Kiggins race in District 2 brought out about 51%. And the 3rd Congressional District had by far the lowest turnout rate. That's where Congressman Bobby Scott just won his 16th straight election. He has faced little competition during his nearly 30 years in office. Now, one more thing to keep in mind. The total voter turnout numbers could change in the coming days. Again, it stands at 49% of registered voters voting so far in this midterm election. But election officials are still counting provisional and mail-in ballots. So we're likely to soon learn about even more voters in this already record year for congressional midterm. Dan Kennedy, 13 News Now.